Today is October 31st, 2025. This isn't a ghost story, but it is about a spirit, the spirit of a generation that felt unheard. Before 2016, the world of personal audio in India was a quiet place for most young people. You had two choices. You could buy expensive, high-quality gear from global giants like Sony or Bose, or you could settle for cheap, unbranded electronics that broke in a week. These were not real choices. They were compromises. The market was speaking, but nobody was listening. It was a market filled with people, but it had no music for them. Aman Gupta and Samir Mehta heard the silence. They saw a gap. But it wasn't just a gap in price. It was a gap in culture. It was a gap in identity. Young Indians were coming online. They were consuming global content on their phones. They were building their own identities. They were building their own styles. They were building their own tribes. But the accessories they used did not reflect this new energy. The gadgets were either too expensive to be accessible or too generic to be aspirational. They were tools, not statements. The founders of boAt didn't just see a business opportunity. They saw a chance to give a generation its own soundtrack. They started with a simple, powerful idea. What if we created audio products that looked as good as they sounded? What if they were tough enough for the daily Indian commute? What if they were priced for a student's budget, not a CEO's? This wasn't about disrupting the electronics market with new technology. It was about disrupting it with a new story. A story where the customer was the hero. A story about style, resilience, and belonging. boAt was born not just to sell earphones, but to sell a feeling of being seen and heard. The name itself, boAt, was a promise. It promised an escape. It promised a journey. It promised to help you float above the noise and find your own island of music, your own state of nirvana. This was not the language of specifications and decibels. This was the language of emotion and experience. While other brands were busy talking about themselves and their technical prowess, boAt decided to talk about its customers. It chose to focus on who they were and who they wanted to become. That decision changed everything. The voyage was about to begin. A brand is a story, but a community is a movement. boAt understood this from day one. They didn't want customers. They wanted fans. They wanted advocates. So they gave their community a name, boAt Heads. This simple act had a profound impact. It turned transactions into tribes. You weren't just someone who bought a boAt product. You were a boAt head. You belonged, a shared identity, a flag to rally around. Isolated users became a connected network who felt part of something bigger. The community was nurtured where it lived, on social media. boAt's Instagram and YouTube became the digital campfire. The content wasn't boring product announcements. It celebrated the boAt head lifestyle. It featured music. It featured sports. It featured art. It featured adventure. The brand spoke the audience's language, memes, slang, cultural inside jokes. It felt like a conversation with a friend, not a corporate broadcast. Authentic, relatable, shareable. In the crowded digital world, being polite is being invisible. boAt chose to be bold. The brand's marketing strategy can be summed up in one word: clapback. It wasn't about picking fights, confident, witty, unafraid to challenge the status quo, when competitors focused on technical jargon, quiet sophistication, split-screen visual. boAt turned up the bass with loud, meme-worthy content. It hijacked trending topics, created hilarious parodies, engaged in playful banter with its audience. This made the brand feel human and approachable. This mimetic marketing was incredibly effective. A single funny image, a short, clever video could achieve more reach than a multi-million-dollar television campaign. Why? Because it was designed to be shared. Entertained them, made them laugh, reflected their own online humor. The brand became a content creator that also happened to sell electronics. This digital-first approach was perfectly tuned to the habits of Gen Z, who spend more time scrolling through feeds than watching traditional advertisements. The clapback attitude extended to customer interaction. The brand's social media handlers responded to comments and queries with the same wit and personality seen in their posts. This two-way communication built a strong rapport with followers. It showed that there were real people behind the logo, people who understood the culture and cared enough to engage. This was the antithesis of the faceless automated customer service that people had come to expect from large corporations. It was another way of saying, "We hear you." This entire marketing philosophy was a deliberate choice to be different. While legacy brands whispered, boAt shouted. While others tried to project an image of timeless perfection, messy, often absurd. It was a high-risk, high-reward strategy. In the wrong hands, it could have come across as cringeworthy, trying too hard. But because it was executed with authenticity and a deep understanding of its audience, it worked. It made boAt not just a brand to buy, but a brand to follow. Growth isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right things. boAt's founders made a brilliant strategic decision early on. They decided not to become a manufacturing company, building factories, managing supply chains, complex logistics of mass production. Instead of sinking capital into bricks and mortar, they chose to outsource their manufacturing, primarily to factories in China. This asset-light model was the secret engine of their explosive growth. It kept their costs low and their organization nimble. Freed from the burdens of production, the company could pour all its energy and resources into what it did best: branding, design, marketing. The team in India was a lean group: creative thinkers, marketers, product designers. Their job was to have their finger on the pulse of Indian youth culture, understanding trends, designing products that looked amazing, crafting stories that resonated. This division of labor was critical. The partners overseas built the hardware. The team in India built the soul. This model also allowed for incredible speed and flexibility. When a new design trend emerged, boAt didn't have to retool a massive factory. It could simply work with its manufacturing partners to create a new product line quickly. This agility enabled the brand to constantly refresh its offerings and stay ahead of the curve. It led to a rapid diversification of their product portfolio. Audio gear, smartwatches, gaming accessories, personal grooming, trimmers. Each new category was a new way to be part of the boAt head lifestyle. The brand's ambition didn't stop at the Indian border. Having conquered a significant share of its home market, boAt began to look outwards with plans for international expansion. The goal was to take this made-in-India brand and put it on the global stage. This demonstrated the scalability of their business model. Brand design created a blueprint that could potentially be replicated in other markets. boAt proved that in the modern economy, you don't need to own the factory to own the customer. The story of boAt is more than a business case study. It's a playbook for a new era of marketing. For any student of management or marketing, the lessons are clear, powerful, and actionable. The first lesson is to find the silence. boAt didn't invent earphones. It found a market that was being ignored. It listened to the unspoken needs of a generation that wanted more than just function. They wanted identity, style, culture, all at a price that made sense. The biggest opportunities are often hidden in the gaps between what people have and what they truly want. The second lesson is that a brand is a community. Don't just sell a product, build a tribe. Giving your audience a name like boAt Heads is the first step. Create a space where they can gather, share, and belong. Use social media not as a megaphone, but as a meeting place. Celebrate your users. Feature their stories. Speak their language. When people feel part of something, they move from customers to evangelists. Their loyalty becomes your greatest marketing asset. Third, marketing is no longer about budget size but idea quality. boAt was outspent by global giants, but it outsmarted them. Mimetic marketing, influencer collaborations, authentic, witty content. In the digital age, a share is more valuable than an impression. The lesson? Be interesting, be funny, be bold, have a personality. In a world of boring corporate messaging, a genuine voice stands out. Don't be afraid to clap back. Finally, focus is your superpower. boAt obsessed over brand, design, community, while strategically outsourcing the rest. This asset-light model made them fast, flexible, financially efficient. Know what you are truly selling. boAt wasn't just electronics. It sold a lifestyle. It sold an identity. Understanding core purpose guided smart investments of time and money. It built brand equity on clever outsourcing.